Hey everybody, today I wanted to break down a few of the frames from a commercial that I shot a while back. If you saw my latest video, you would have seen the raw behind the scenes footage of it. And today I just wanted to take you through a couple of the lighting setups we had for the commercial and just show you exactly how we lit it, what tools we used, and how it was done. If you haven't seen the commercial yet, I'll leave a link to it down in the description below where you can see it on my Instagram, or you can go watch the previous video I posted on this channel that shows it in conjunction with all of the behind the scenes footage. In general, we kind of had two different lighting setups, one of which we played with different color temperatures on and lived mostly in those two worlds with just making little tweaks for each different shot or setup that we needed to. Jumping into this first frame here, we'll start with the frame of this dancer. You can see we're just shooting on a white cyc wall, pretty simple, and this is just an overhead lighting setup. Jumping into our lighting diagram here, you can see we shot on the Alexa Mini LF, and there's our talent as well as our cyc wall. Starting out, we did have a little bit of a side source, and for that we used a cream source Vortex 8, as you can see here, and we had that diffused with an 8x8 frame. And on that 8x8 frame here, you can see we had a quarter grid for diffusion, an egg crate just to control the light because we didn't want it spilling all over the back wall of the white cyc. And to also help with the spill, we had two 4x4 floppies on either side just to help to not have the light spread out onto the wall here and keep it as neutral as possible. The cream source Vortex 8 was actually suggested by my gaffer to be used. It's kind of like an RE SkyPanel S60 alternative, and the output is actually even slightly better than the SkyPanel S60. And although that setup gave it a little bit of directionality for our main source, we wanted a big overhead soft source. And for that, again, we built an 8x8 frame, but this time in a big 3-foot deep softbox configuration. Jumping back to the lighting diagram here, you can see we had two SkyPanel S60s in there. And then again, as you can see, an 8x8 overhead 3-foot deep softbox with diffusion, and again the egg crate just to prevent the spill from hitting anywhere on this back wall here. We just wanted to have a nice sort of circle of light around the talent that was really controlled. There was also a skirt on this that came down just to allow us to kind of control the depth of the light spill and just where that light was going to go on the actual floor below and on top of our talent. Jumping into our actual frame here, pulled from the video, you can see that sort of edge that the light spill has, and that's just really controlled by that skirt and the egg crate. And then you can see obviously the nice soft source that's coming right down on top of our talent here. You can see it in his hair, and then a little bit of that directionality that's coming in from the big 8x8 source that's over in the side here with that egg crate on it. Moving on to a different frame here, you can see this is a very similar lighting setup with that same overhead source. For this one, we actually lost the side source with the cream source Vortex 8 entirely and just let it live in that complete overhead lighting source. And then obviously you can see the color temperature of both of these sky panels that were ringed in that overhead softbox were turned to a more tungsten feel, just to make it feel like a totally different world with the drum kit instead of the dancers to have two separate worlds they could both live in. Jumping back into our diagram here, you can see we also did have two spotlights. These were both Licos that were mounted on the back of the cyc wall. And we use these for certain drumming shots if we just wanted to add a little bit of a rim light to the drummer. So as you can see, jumping into this tighter frame, you can see a nice edge light that's happening on the rim of the snare drum here and just sort of outlining the edge of the drumstick, his arm up in this corner here, just really making the frame pop a little bit more than it would have with just that overhead source. We did also play with the 8x8 source that was on wheels with that same Vortex cream source light and just moving that around just to provide a little more directionality with it when we came in for the tighter shots. And one other final setup we did with the drummer here was take one of the Legos and put it on a light stand and just sort of cut the light on both sides. And then we panned that sort of back and forth to create this sort of side pillar of light you can see in this frame here. I really like what this does to this frame because it sort of outlines the entire drummer and sort of emphasizes a whole nother world you can see just with that shadow. It just visually looks really striking to me. Now, because we had an actual drummer on for this commercial, we had custom music made for it, but usually I don't have the luxury of doing that or getting a custom composer for my projects. So usually I rely on platforms like Artlist, the sponsor of this video. Artlist is the most amazing platform to find all the stock music, sound effects, and footage you could ever possibly want for any of your project. It's a subscription-based software that gives you access to tens of thousands of songs, sound effects, and really awesome stock footage. Not only are all these assets royalty free, but there's also a million different ways to select from them, giving you different genres, instruments. You can search for different sound effects, and all the stock footage is actually super high quality stuff. I've been using their stock music long before they decided to sponsor any of my videos, and I know it's really good because I've used it on countless client projects. On projects where I don't have a custom drummer, I use their music all the time. They have plans for everyone from a YouTube creator to a professional filmmaker, so you can select what works best for you for your licensing reasons. And what's even better is their new plan called Artlist Max, which offers even more assets than what we've described before. Not only do you get the stock footage, the stock music, and the sound effects, but you also get templates, plugins, and different apps you can use with Adobe Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, and Final Cut Pro to elevate your videos to the next level. All these plugins and assets are incredibly useful when you're in an edit and you just need to spice up your videos and really take it to the next level. Artlist Max has subscriptions starting at $29.99 a month and up depending on if you need it for super high-end commercial stuff or just your own creations direct to client or on YouTube videos like these. Artlist has been super kind in sponsoring these videos, and if you click the link down in the description to learn more, they'll give you 2 months extra for free when purchasing an annual subscription. They are a large part of the reason that cinematography breakdowns like these are made possible. So if you want to go show them some love, click the link in the description to learn more and find the subscription that's going to work for you. But for real though, the stock music is actually really good. So go check out Artlist. Thanks for sponsoring this video. And jumping into our second setup here, this is a completely different setup we had on the day, and this is one of the frames from that setup. You can see there's sort of 3 different circles of light on the ground here, and then this actual pillar that's coming down here. Jumping into the lighting setup for this, you can see again we have the Alexa Mini LF and our talent on the cyc wall, and then directly on either side of the overhead softbox we had 2 Leica spotlights. I think we had a 19-degree lens on them, just creating those pillars of light. And in order to see that third spotlight in the frame I just showed you, we had actually rigged a Leica inside of the softbox that both of the sky panels were in. So all we did was pull back the diffusion and the grid and the skirt from that and allow the Leica light to come right down through. And that's what you see here in the lighting diagram right in the middle. And again, in this frame right here. We did also haze the room quite a bit, which is why you can see this actual pillar in the room. And my gaffer was on a DMX controller board that controlled these lights on and off, up and down in brightness. So in certain other frames, you'll see a pillar up on the left side or on the right side here, or sometimes all 3 sides having 3 pillars at once. And we mixed and matched various shots so that we could cut between them and mask them out to put different dancers and different pillars, etc., and just give us a lot of options in post. Jumping back into the lighting diagram here, we did also add to all 3 of these Leicos a half CTB gel, and that just made it live in that sort of blue world that we lean into in the color grade in the edit. Anyways, that was pretty much it. We just played with the 2 spotlights that were mounted on the back wall, the 3 that were face down, and then the 2 big 8x8 soft sources, and kept it relatively simple other than messing with the color temperature. Because we were shooting on a white cyc, we were trying to make it more interesting than just your generic flat white background that you might see in a more high-key corporate commercial look, and make it something more moody that had more texture to it than that kind of style. If you enjoy these types of cinematography breakdowns, click the like button down below because it actually makes a difference and helps share this video with people who might also be interested in it. Click the subscribe button if you want to see more videos just like this, and we'll see you in the next one.